Okay, as I was saying. Yeah, ratio, you solve your ratio. Final number. Okay. Now for number three. He has three sons, Ivan, Dmitri, and I'm not going to try to say that. And they're standing in the corners of a rectangular room. Okay, so we have a room, and they're in the corners. Okay, we have a room. So, so Fyodor is 3 meters from Dmitri. So let's just call hit this three. Let's call this Fyodor. So let's fix Fyodor and see where we can put Dmitri. So what else do we know? We have Dmitri is 5 meters from us. So Fyodor is 3 meters away from Dmitri and 5 meters away from Ivan. So if he's here, let's just call this the shorter side. There's two cases. Let's see, we can have Dmitri here and Ivan here, or we can have the room where it's like this, where he's here, Dimitri's here, but Ivan's here. And now we want to find the minimum distance from F to A. So A would be here, and in this case, A would be here. What does this tell us? If 3, 5, okay, this length is 5 squared plus 3 squared. There's 34 square root. But from this, we know this is 3. This is 5. This is a 3, 4, 5. 4, your answer is 4. There's two cases here. You just draw out the orientation and find which one's the best one. And the real trick to this is just to fix where he stands. Let's just say, no matter what, he stands here. Because you can always rearrange, you can always rotate the room such that he's there. So once you fix one of the people, it becomes a lot easier. And then you just need to test two cases. And obviously the 3, 4, 5 right triangle is the best optimization. Okay. The 10-finger company periodically checks random calculators before shipping crates out to customers. On Wednesday, 12 calculators from each of the 64 crates of 144 calculators were tested. Two of the tested calculators were found defective. Based on this rate of defect, how many total calculators are expected to be defective? I put this in one here because it's the classic reading question you'll see on the math counts exam. So, 12 calculators from, okay, let's understand what they're saying. 12 calculators from each of the 64 crates. What is this telling us? For every crate, we're taking 12 calculators out and we're testing them. So how many calculators are we testing? 12 times 64. Okay? That's the amount of calculators we tested. And how many are defective? Two defective. What does this tell us? The rate of defection. Let's do defective over total equals two defective over the total amount we tested, which is 12 times 64. But what do they tell us? The rate for the entire box is the same. So that means we have, in total, we should expect X detective calculators, defective. I've been saying detective. I don't know why. X defective calculators, and we have 144 times 64 as a total. So this ratio must be the same. It's another ratio. But what can we see? These cancel out. These cancel out, and you just have a 12. So you have 2 equals x over 12. What does this tell us? X equals 24. We expect 24 defective calculators. So if you understood what they were telling you, this question became really easy. Because they told you, we tested this many calculators. This many don't work. This is our defective rate. The rate for the entire box is the same, which is just a ratio. 2 over this is equal to x over this. But these cancel out really nicely, so you know it's 24. So it's 24 in total. Yeah, 24 in total. Not in just like, it's in total. So we're including the two we caught in the first case. because it says total calculators are expected to be defective. And number 5. So at a concert for this band, 75% of the tickets were sold at full price for $30, and the remaining 25% were sold at a discounted price of $10. What was the average selling price? Well, let's do this with a bit of algebra. What do we know average is? The average price will be dollars total over tickets total. Okay, let's say there are T tickets. Okay, and it says we sold, and that's fine the money we made. So what does it say? We sold 3/4 of the total number of tickets. So 3/4 T is how many tickets, and we sold them for $30. Plus, we sold 1/4 of the total tickets for $10. What does this tell us? The dollar total is equal to 90 over 4t plus 10 over 4t. What does this tell us? Which means 100 over 4t, which equals 25t. Okay, great. We have the amount of money we made, which is 25t, over the number of tickets, which is t, which tells us the average price is $25. Or if you want to do the quickest way, just say they sold 4 tickets. Okay, we sold 3 tickets for $30 plus 1 ticket for $10 equals 100. You made $100, 4 tickets, 25. Much quicker, but this is better for your foundation. Okay. And now moving on to the last homework. We'll try to run through this homework quickly. You've had 2 weeks to think about this, so shouldn't be too difficult. I'm gonna just run through it. What is the value of 4 times -1 plus 2 minus 3 plus 4 dot 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 1,000? Wait a minute. This is a pattern. This is a pattern. So for every 2 numbers, every group of 2, there's 1. So we can also write this as 4 plus 1 dot 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 1. But how many 1s are there? Well, for every 2 numbers, we get a 1. There's 1,000 numbers in there. So that means 1,000 over 2. Okay, this number of 1s. So we have 500 ones. But multiplied by 4, answer is 2,000. Okay. A fair coin is tossed 3 times. What's the probability of at least 2 consecutive heads? Well, there's so little we can just count the cases. So how many ways can we make 2 consecutive heads? Well, heads, heads, tails. Tails, heads, heads. Heads, heads, heads. Okay, there's 3 ways. And the first flip, you can have heads or tails. The second flip can be heads or tails. The third flip can be heads or tails. And because of these 3 independent events, there gives 8 total possibilities and only 3 work. So it's 3/8. Okay, Isabella uses 1-foot cubical blocks to build a fort that is 12 feet long, 10 feet wide, and 5 feet deep. The floor and 4 walls are all 1 foot thick. How many blocks does the fort contain? Well, let's pretend the fort is a prism and subtract the inside. So we have the outside, which is a 12 by 5 by 10. But if we subtract 1 from the side lengths, we get to subtract a 10 by 8. The height remains the same, so it's still by 5. This tells you the total number of blocks. So this is 600. And what is this? This is 400, which tells you it takes 200 blocks to make the fort. The geometry questions. So the sides of ABCs are the diameters of the semicircle shown here. The area of semicircle AB is equal to 8. So the area of a semicircle is equal to 1/2 pi r squared. So we can find the radius here. If this is area 8, we get 8 equals 1/2 pi r squared. Yeah, 8 pi. What does this tell us? 16 equals r squared, r equals 4. So this is 4, this is 4. Okay, the arc of semicircle AC has length 8.5 pi. Okay. What is the arc? Well, the arc is half the circumference, right? So arc, this arc is 1/2 circumference. What does this tell us? It's equal to radius pi, because it's usually 2 pi r. So we know the area of ABC, and the arc on semicircle AC has length 8.5 pi. Okay, so what does this tell us? We have r pi equals 8.5 pi. What does this tell us? R equals 8.5. So we know 8.5, 8.5. And what is the radius of the semicircle in BC? Well, this is 8, this is 17. This is a right triangle. Great. 17 squared minus 8 squared. This is your classic 8, 15, 17 right triangle. So the radius is equal to 15 over 2. So it's 7.5. And on to the final question. Daphne is visited periodically by her best friends Alice, Beatrix, and Claire. Alice visits every third day. Beatrix visits every fourth day. Claire visits every fifth day. And 3 friends visit. All of them visited yesterday. How many days in the next 360-day period will exactly 2 friends visit her? Let's draw a Venn diagram. So, how many days will Alice and Beatrix? So let's call this A, B, C. So the total in A is going to be 121. The total in B is going to be 91. And the total in this one, every fifth day, is going to be 61. What else do we know? Let's see how many days they all meet at the same time. Well, the lowest common denominator, lowest common factor or something. I actually forgot what it's called. It's 3 times 4 times 5. I forgot the name. So they meet every 60 days, so they come together 6 times. Okay? How many times will A and B meet though? Well, these are equal to 12. The What is it called? Oh, LCM, lowest common multiple. That's the name. It's been a while. Forgot the name. Yeah, yeah, I just saw the chat. Oh, this is the homework, by the way. We just did. This is a really old homework. So we know this is 6. So this is 12. So that means over 365 days, they overlap 30 times. So the entirety of this section is going to be 35, 30, yeah, 30. But 6 is here, so 24 must be here. Okay, what is this? They meet every 20 days. So that means over 360 days, they meet 18 times. But 6 is here. So to add up to 18, this is 12. Once again, 3, 5, 15. Okay. If they meet every 15 days, how many times do they meet? They meet 24 times. But 6 is already here. 18. So how many days will exactly 2 friends visit her? 12 plus 18 plus 24. 54 days. Okay. I just ran through the homework really quickly because it's really old. You probably don't remember it. And yeah, well, you can take your 5-minute break and you have until 9:20 to do the classwork 2, which is harder than the last one, but still math counts themed. So good luck. Try to get as far as you can. Yes, 2 weeks homework. It's 2 weeks ago. This week's homework is for next week. I just decided to post it early because, well, why not? Okay, you can have your break. Can you clarify what you mean by does zero work for number two? If you're referring to, are you talking about the ratio question? Number three? No, it has to be positive. It says of a positive number, zero isn't positive. Okay, so let's start with this set. A gardener uses exactly 500 feet of fencing to enclose a rectangular garden in her backyard. If the width of her garden is 50 feet less than the length, what will the area be? Well, width, length. What do we know? The perimeter is equal to 2 width plus 2 length. We know the width plus 50 is equal to the length, which tells us the perimeter is equal to 2 times the width plus 2 times the width plus 100. But they stated this is 500. What does this tell us? 4 times the width is equal to 400. So the width is 100. And then from that, it implies the length is 150. Area equals width times length, which is equal to 1500. Should be pretty simple. Not a tricky question. You have 500 feet. You want to enclose a rectangular garden. Width of a feet is 50 less than the length. Okay, so we state here that using that, we can find the width. And using the width, we can go back and find the length. And width times length is area. So pretty quick, pretty simple. Number 2. At 11:32, speedometer showed he was going 75 miles an hour. He had 60 miles left to travel, assuming he keeps the same average speed. What time will he arrive there? Well, what did we talk about? We talked about velocity times time equals distance. So time is equal to distance over velocity, which is equal to 60 miles over 75 miles per hour, which gives us, let's 15 divides out 15 hours. I mean, set 4/5 hours. What is this equal to? 48 minutes. Okay, so 10:32 plus 48 minutes is equal to 11:20. So that's what you get for this one. 11:20. Again, this is just using our well-established velocity times time equals distance. Going to time equals distance over velocity. We have our distance, we have our velocity, so we have our time. We can just add on to find our final time. Okay. The fifth power of a positive number is equal to the product of 2/3 and the fourth power of that number. So let this number be x. So we know x to the fifth is equal to 2/3 x to the fourth. We also know this number x cannot be 0. Well, that's good, because now we can divide both sides by x to the fourth, because we know x can't be 0 anymore. So we have x equals 2/3. Well, that's convenient. Now we know what that positive number is. And we want to find the ratio of x to the 10th over x to the 8th, which is equal to x squared, which is equal to 2/3 squared, which is equal to 4/9. Okay? So this one is, you just have to solve the initial statement they gave you. Something to the fifth is equal to 2/3 times something to the fourth. Dividing by x to the fourth out, you get 2/3 equals x. Plug it in here. We can factor these to get x squared. We have our x, we have our ratio. James is making a sandwich with 2 slices of bread chosen from rye, wheat, and white, and filled with either ham, cheese, or both. If a sandwich can have 1 or 2 types of bread, and the order of the ingredients doesn't matter, how many sandwiches can he make? Well, let's first choose what his ingredients are. They can either be ham, cheese, or both. So there are 3 options for ingredients. And now let's choose the order of the bread. We can choose all rye, all wheat, all white, or wheat rye, wheat white, or rye white. So there's 6 different orders of the bread. So that leaves us with 18. But before we finish, we have to consider is ham, cheese, wheat, rye, and what they state as rye, wheat, ham, cheese. So the order of this doesn't matter. So what they're saying is if we flip the sandwich upside down, we still have the same sandwich, which means that we don't need to multiply or divide by anything. Because they stated if we flip the sandwich upside down, we still get the same sandwich or any orientation of the ingredients. As long as the core components are the same, it's the same sandwich. Which makes sense if you think about it. It's like if you're having a sandwich, whether the cheese is on top of the ham or under the ham doesn't really matter. It's still the same sandwich, which is what they're trying to get at. So there's three ways to pick the ingredients, which is cheese, ham, or both. And you can choose 6 combinations of bread. One type, one type, one type, or the combination of two. So it's 18. This is a pretty quick one. So 1 through 4, those shouldn't have been too difficult. Now, but number 5, this is a tricky one. Has a wooden cube which is painted blue on the outside. She cuts the cube into 1,000 identical cubes. So what does this tell us? We had a 10 by 10 by 10 cube at first, which have some sides painted blue. Then rolls the resulting cubes like die. The probability that no blue face lands up after Jalen rolls 1,000 cubes can be expressed as 2 to the A times 3 to the A times 5 to the C, where A, B, and C are integers. What is the value of A, B plus C? Okay, so what do you know? Well, let's think about this instead of rolling die. Think about it this in a different way. So, if we make, so what do we know? We have, so let's see how many faces are painted, okay? Because if we calculate it normally, that's a real pain. Because first, let's see, how many die have 3 sides painted? Well, all the corner die will. Okay, how many corner die are there? 4, because there's 4 corners to a cube. So we have 4 corners. Okay, and now how many edges do we have? Well, a cube has 12 edges. There are 8 corners to a cube. I don't know what I'm saying. Anyways, as I was saying, there's to the edges, how many edges are there? How many edge cubes are there? No, we have 12, and on each one there's 8. Which means in total we should have 96 edges. And now, most importantly, how many of them do we just have at the top? So, what is that? Where only one face is painted. Well, we can find that as the top face. So that means just one side is shaded, which means we have 8 times 8, 64 times, okay, 64 because we had the tiny square in here, because the edges are here, and there's 6 of them, which is at 384 middles. Okay, what do we know? Okay, say we're rolling a corner cube. What are the chances that a corner results with a white facing up? Well, that's easy. We know that is. There's 3 out of the corners, 3 of them are painted blue. So there's a 3/6 chance that white shows up, and there's 8. So the probability of this occurring. Okay, now for the edges. How many of them are white? So only 2 sides are blue, so we have 4/6 chance. Okay? And there's 96 of them. Now finally, the last one. Only one side is blue, which means we have a 5/6 chance. Times 384. Let's do a bit of simplification. We get 1/2 to the 8th times 2/3 to the 96 times 5/6 to the 384. Now let's express this in terms we want. We have 2 to the negative 8 times 2 to the 96 times 3 to the negative 96 times 5 to the 384th. This is 6 times 6 to the negative 384. This is equal to 2 to the negative 8 times 2 to the 96 times, from here, 2 to the minus 384. And then we get 3 to the minus 384, 3 to the minus 96 times 5 to the 384. And all that's left to do is add We have 2 to the A. What is 2? So that's 96 minus 8. This is the 2. This is A. B is minus 384 minus 96. What is, okay, and oh, I forgot this for the 2. Minus 384. And what is C? Plus 384. Well, this and this cancel, and this cancel. So what do we have in the end? These cancel, these cancel, these are minus 8, minus 3, 4, which tells us that our total is equal to negative 392. Bit of probability, bit of counting, a little bit of everything thrown together for this question. This is obviously the most advanced question. I don't expect you to know this too well, but this is just testing you. This is actually just a math counts chapter on question. So it's one of the first, it's the pretty much the first round of real competition. So yeah, this is the easiest competition in the math count series. This is one of their questions. And as you move on, you get the state round, which is harder, and the national round, which is obviously the hardest. But yeah, that's it for today. You guys are good to go. Do the homework, and yeah, see you guys.